Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you my best tips and tools to inspire you to create beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I am back with 5 home decor DIYs. These are non-seasonal but could definitely be elevated for whatever season or holiday or decor theme you have in mind. You'll see that a lot of mine today, I went with sunflowers, which can be used pretty much year round depending on your decor, but the sunflowers can always be changed to some other theme depending on your preferences. So with all that being said, let's get crafting. For DIY number 1, we're going to use some tumbling tower blocks to make a geometric plant shelf. And we're going to use the natural colored tower blocks. You could also use larger blocks if you have them. Now to start off, I'm going to make some pairs of blocks. I'm going to make 6 pairs for 3 rectangles each. So I'm actually going to make, 18 pairs of these blocks, just gluing them with some wood glue end to end. So 6 pairs times 3. Once that wood glue is dry, I'm going to take my little sander and smooth out any spots where the wood glue may have come through the cracks of the blocks. Next, I'm going to take 12 of my pairs and I'm going to glue them together. So now I'm going to make 6 sticks that are 4 blocks long. So I just find that it's easier to get them straight if you glue them into sets of 2 first and then glue 2 sets of 2 to make a stick of 4. So again, we're going to make 6 of these lines or sticks that are 4 blocks long. And again, we're going to let that wood glue dry completely. Once all of our sticks are dried and sanded, you can see I'm going to take 2 of the long ones and 2 of the short ones, and I'm going to glue them together with the wood glue in a rectangle. So I'm doing the set of 2 across the top and the bottom of my 2 longer sticks. And we are going to make 3 rectangles like this. Now, I did forget to mention that this DIY is inspired by something I saw on Pinterest, and I am going to pretty much put my 3 rectangles in the same configuration that they did, but it would be really fun to experiment with this plant shelf idea, maybe using more of these rectangles and laying them out in different formations. So you can see how I'm taking my second one on top of my first one, kind of down on the left halfway and over to the left halfway. Once those are stuck, I'm going to take my third one and I'm going to glue it horizontally across that second one. While our rectangles are drying, I'm going to take 4 more tumbling tower blocks. You can see I'm going to glue 3 of them together side by side, and I'm going to do this twice. We're going to make two tiny little shelves that we're going to attach to the rectangles to give us a couple of places where we can put some tiny little pots of plants. So I have my 3 together like this, and then I'm going to take one more just to make my shelf a little bit larger and put it across the bottom of the set of 3. Now you could use whatever type of pots you want. I'm just taking 2 of these little seed starter pots because I have them on hand and they are lightweight. I am going to hot glue a small piece of floral foam into the bottom of each of my pots. This will give us something to poke our florals into. And then we're going to cover up that foam with just a little bit of floral moss, so just a little bit of hot glue and a tiny amount of moss just to cover up that green floral foam. For my project, I have a couple of these smaller sunflowers from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to trim the stems and poke those down into that floral foam. Again, you can put whatever type of flowers or greenery depending on your color scheme. We're just going to poke these in here, and then I'm going to show you where we're going to glue our little shelves. So I'm just putting a little glue at the bottom and a little bit on the back there. This little shelf will be supported by the I guess that would be the bottom part of our third rectangle. And then this other one is going to go right here. It's going to line up and rest against the top side of this third rectangle. So we're just going to add these 2 little shelves in here. I'm just using hot glue, but if you're going to put anything heavy on this, you're definitely going to want to use wood glue. So this is what it looks like. You can add your little pots with your florals. You can hang this on a wall, and I think it's very creative. I would love to make something larger using more tumbling tower blocks. You could also paint this if you don't want to keep it the natural color. For DIY number 2, I'm going to make a door round, and I'm going to use a napkin on here. We're going to show you an easy, quick, less messy way to decoupage with a napkin, and I am going to use this magnolia surface. You could definitely use any round surface that you find at Hobby Lobby or Dollar Tree. Here I'm going to take this napkin, I believe it was from the at-home store maybe, or Home Goods, and you can see I'm making a line right at the point where my napkin is going corner to corner. I don't want to pull it any lower because then it won't go all the way across. So I'm going to make just a rough pencil line on the top and the bottom of my round. This is going to help me know where I need to put Mod Podge on my round, and that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to take matte Mod Podge and I'm just going to apply a thin layer right on the top of my round here, stopping at that pencil line, smoothing it out, and we're going to let this dry completely. We're going to do the same thing on the bottom portion of our round. Now, whenever you're going to Mod Podge or decoupage with napkins, you want to make sure you get all the extra layers of the napkin off. That's going to be 1 if it's a Dollar Tree napkin usually, 2 extra layers if it's from anywhere else. So the easiest way is to do what you see me doing here. I'm taking tape and I'm pressing it to the 2 sides of the napkin until it starts to pull away all the other layers from the top. Do this carefully. You don't want to rip your napkin. Now our Mod Podge on our round is dry, so I'm taking my napkin, I'm lining it up as best I can, corner to corner on the edge of the round and lined up with that pencil line. I'm going to put some parchment paper down. Try to be careful that your napkin doesn't move. And we're going to put parchment paper over the napkin and we're going to iron this. Some of you have seen me do this before. I love this method for decoupaging really thin materials like napkins and tissue paper. The heat from the iron is going to reactivate that Mod Podge that was dried and it's going to grab on to the napkin. You do want to make sure you have parchment paper so any adhesive doesn't come through the napkin onto your iron. Once that's on there all the way, you can just take your little sander or a nail file or a sanding block and in a downward motion, get the excess of the napkin off and it'll be a nice clean edge on your round. And then we're going to turn it around and do the exact same thing on the other side of our round. Next, I'm going to use this stencil from monarchmomdiy.com and we're going to put this in the middle of our round to say hello sunshine. You could do welcome. If you don't have stencils, you could do sticker letters like from Dollar Tree. You could make the inside of your round to say whatever you'd like, but I wanted to show you guys how easy it is to take these stencils and get these words stenciled onto your round. So what I'm doing here is I'm just laying it, trying to center it as much as possible. And then once I have it where I want it, we're gonna press it down so that everywhere you see green, which is adhesive on the back, is going to stick to our surface. And our black chalk paste is only gonna go where you see the words. It is a mesh and it's kind of like silk screening. We're just going to transfer the words onto our round using the mesh stencil and the chalk paste. And my favorite part, the peel and reveal to show how awesome these stencils are. The only other thing I'm going to do here to make a little bit more decoration and to kind of cover up maybe a jagged napkin edge or the pencil mark showing, I'm going to take this black and white gingham ribbon from Dollar Tree and just using some hot glue, I'm going to glue a strip of it across the top and bottom of the napkin sections. You can see I've just made it a little bit longer and then we'll come back in and we'll trim that up. And that's how easy it is to make a really pretty door round. You could do more. You could add a bow to this. You could paint the beads so that they were maybe black, whatever you'd like. But I love how this turned out. Cute and simple. If you love budget home decor DIY videos like this, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and leaving a comment or two. That lets YouTube know people are enjoying my content and they'll show it to more and more viewers. for DIY number 3, I wanted to use some wood pieces that I have left over in my stash to make a little organizer. So I have 4 of these lids from the laser cut boxes, and then the 4 boxes are actually from the wood drawers. You could do this idea also with the boxes that come with these lids. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take 4 of these lids and I'm going to use some wood glue to glue them together in pairs on one of the sides. So you can see I have them upside down. So the laser cut out part is touching my table. I'm going to also use some of these clamps to hold them together while the wood glue dries. While those are drying, I'm going to take my 4 boxes, and on the outside, I'm going to use the baby wipe method to make them a dark wood stained color with antique wax. Just dipping it into the wax and rubbing the baby wipe on the outside of the box. I'm just going to do the 4 sides and then the top edge. I'm not going to worry about doing the bottom of the box because we're going to be gluing these down. Now that my 2 pairs of lids are dry, I'm going to glue those 2 lids halves together here to make a square of 4. And again, we're just going to use the clamps to hold them together until they're dry. So now coming back to our boxes, I do like a lot of earth tones. So I'm going to take Celery Waverly chalk paint. It's a light green, and I'm going to paint the inside of each of my 4 boxes. Now that my lids are all dry, I've made them into a kind of a 4-section tray. I'm going to flip them over, and this is the top of the lids, but it's going to be the bottom of our tray. I'm just using white Waverly chalk paint. I am going a little heavy, which is going to make some go through those holes, but we will sand that when we get to that step. So just covering this wood tray now that we've made on the bottom, the top, the inside, and all around the edges. Once our boxes and our tray are dry, I'm going to take wood glue on the bottom, and I'm going to glue a box right into the center of each section of my tray, or of each of these box lids. This is going to make a nice permanent 4-compartment organizer. I'm going to show you here, once I have these glued in, 2 different ways you could use something like this. I was just really excited to use some wood pieces that didn't really go together, but I could make something that was useful and could also be decorative. So here you can see to use this as decoration, I've just thrown some greenery and some Dollar Tree or Amazon succulents inside. The other thing you could do is use it as a desk organizer on top of a desk or work table. DIY number 4 is a really simple DIY. I'm using one of these shiplap clip frames from Michaels and another different type of sunflower napkin. So again, this is Art Minds. I want to say this is like 99 cents at Michaels. It comes with a little peg for the back to make it stand. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my white Waverly chalk paint and give this entire clipboard frame a coat of white. Once that's dry, we're going to smooth it out a little bit with our little sander, and I may do a little bit of distressing around the edges, but that of course is not necessary. I just want to smooth out any brush strokes from the paint. Now with the door round DIY, we used an entire napkin. What I'm doing with this one is I'm just going to fussy cut 2 of these sunflower pears that are decoration on this napkin. We're not going to really use the black and white part, although I think I do end up using a tiny strip of it. So this is just another way you can use napkins. Rather than using the whole thing, you can cut out any images that you like from the napkin. And like we did with the door round, we're going to put some Mod Podge on the places where we're going to put the napkin. Actually, I end up putting it, I think, over the entire front of the clipboard. But we're just going to brush this on like we did before and let it dry completely so we can come back in and use our iron. So I did decide to use a little strip of the black and white check right here at the bottom. So I'm going to get that lined up, and it does end up moving on me while I'm ironing it, but that's okay. I don't mind. Just make sure you put the parchment paper over again like we did with the door round so that you don't get anything sticking to your iron. And again, we'll use our little sander to clean up the edges of the excess napkin on the sides of our little frame. Now I'm going to take the 2 sunflower pears and we're going to glue those or Mod Podge those up to the top right and left corners. And I didn't show this, but I did remove the other layers of the napkin. So this is just the very front printed layer of the napkin. You want to make sure you get those separated because otherwise the printed part will fall off and only the other layers will be attached to your project. So we're going to go ahead and iron both of these on. Once those are on, I did decide to use my fingernail and also the little sander there just to sand that little crack there between the two sections of the sunflower, give it a little bit more of a distressed look and be able to show that it is like a shiplap type of frame. And I love how this turned out. I think it's so cute. You can just put a picture there on the clip. You could also make these as recipe holders if you'd like for gifts in the kitchen. If you're stopping by my channel for the first time today, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. I hope you like what you see and you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. I hope everyone will take a second, tap that bell, check and make sure that your notifications are set to all so YouTube should let you know when I upload a new video or go live here on my channel. And for DIY number 5, we're going to make a farmhouse shiplap looking vase stand. I have this wood box. It was a planter that I got at a thrift store. I'm going to use 4 glass bottles, some sunflowers, and some of these giant craft sticks from Walmart. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these craft sticks in various lengths and we're going to glue them to the sides of the box to make it look like it's wood shiplap. So different lengths. I have some really strong scissors here, I believe are from Walmart, and I'm just going to cut these craft sticks and then just hot glue them to the outside of the box. The fun thing about these craft sticks looking like shiplap wood is you could do this to a regular box, like not even a wood box that was already wood. Think like maybe a box that you get something in the mail. This would be a really fun way to elevate a recycled box like that. So I'm just using my hot glue and gluing these all just kind of in a shiplap wall formation. So here I've done both long sides. I am going to do the 2 short sides as well. And then I am also doing the top, which is actually the bottom of the box, but I have the box flipped over. Instead of using it as a box because it is so deep and my vases are not that tall, I'm going to use this as a stand for the vases instead. So again, we're still just cutting the pieces of the craft stick to get them to cover completely. Now, 3 widths of the craft stick wasn't quite enough to do all the way across the side. So I do end up cutting some of these in smaller widths, I guess, going long ways. You'll see that in a minute. So you can see there's that white edge at the top that is not covered. We're just going to cut some of these craft sticks skinnier so that they'll fill in those spaces. Now that my box stand is all covered, I'm going to use the baby wipe method and the antique wax again to give our shiplap stand here a nice dark wood stained look. I thought about painting my glass bottles, but I've done that before. So instead, I got a piece of scrapbook paper here and I measured and decided if I cut strips that were 2 3/4 inches, I could get 4 of them out of this piece of paper. And then I'm just going to wrap the piece of black and white check paper around the center of each of our vases. And we'll do that for all 4 of our bottles. Now, to go along with the theme, I found this ribbon in my stash from Hobby Lobby. It is not wired, but it is burlap in the middle with the black and white check. So this is the back side of my stand. I'm gluing one edge of the ribbon, and it's not wired like I said, and I don't want to put a bunch of glue, so I'm just trying to wrap it as tightly as I can. This is going around the front now. I'm going to put a little bit of glue just to tack it at the corner. Then we'll finish wrapping it all the way around the stand and then glue it again on the back. And next I decided to add this wood word from Hobby Lobby. You could also use any of the wood or metal words from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here on this, and it looks like I have painted it white, and we're going to glue this right on the center of that burlap ribbon. Then here you can see it's very neutral. You can put in whatever flowers you want. I just went with some flowers for today, kind of went with the theme, but you can definitely change those out. Thanks again so much for joining me today. Please let me know in the comments which of these projects was your favorite, and we'll see you next time. Take care.